Everything is okay. Don't worry, don't worry.
Stay with me, Pierre, stay. They're trying to kidnap me.
Руди, давай обсудим все.
Keep it calm, please.
Я сейчас заору. Я буду орать во всю глотку.
Look. If this is a punishment...
It's not a punishment.
Can I just say, if this is because Rudy spent time going out with me and my friends, can I just say, never did Rudy say one word against his country, against his government, or against a company. Never. Not one single word, ever.
Okay, just keep it under control, okay?
That's a clip from The White Crow, and I'm delighted to say that its director, one of its stars, Ralph Fiennes, joins us on the show. Hello, Ralph. How are you?
Hello there. How are you?
Very nice to see you.
Thank you.
It's an extraordinary story that you're telling in this film, much to discuss. Just tell us what it was about the story of this early part of the life of Nureyev that drew you in, that made you think this is a story that you wanted to be a part of.
It was the force of his personality, or the fire of his desire to realise himself as a ballet dancer. I really was introduced to his life reading a biography, and the first chapters dealing with his childhood in Ufa, in the central part of Russia, very deprived childhood, and then his student years in Leningrad, and then this extraordinary moment of defecting from Soviet Russia in 1961 at Le Bourget Airport in Paris. And it really sat with me as an extraordinary story with great cinematic potential. I did not come to the story because I had some love about ballet. I was pretty ignorant about ballet. It was just the story of this boy with this extraordinary self-belief and a kind of ferocious messianic desire to will himself to be a great dancer.
Where did that come from? Did you get close to that?
No, I think it's one of those mysterious things. As why does anyone discover this thing in themselves that leads them to do whatever? I think it's just one of those mysteries about humankind that someone suddenly discovers in themselves this intense desire, whether it's to be a dancer or an explorer or a politician or an athlete. It's just one of those mysterious things. He was introduced to traditional Bashkirian dances. He's from a Tatar background. His parents would arguably be Muslim. They were Muslim, except the Soviet regime didn't ban pretty much all forms of religion. And he was always proud of his Tatar Asiatic blood. He often felt it gave him this sort of fire and a strong, almost warrior-like temperament. But he would have been introduced to these traditional Bashkirian dances probably when he was at the equivalent of primary school. And I think he just found that this thing called dancing spoke to him. You can see in young children passions for things. They suddenly focus on a thing that they can't stop doing. And it can either be a passing fad or it just grows and grows and grows. And that's the thing that they discover they have a gift for. He actually started training quite late as a dancer. He had to resist his father's reluctance. It was his mother who, I think, a wonderful mother that could identify, here's a boy who has a passion. And I think that's a great thing when a parent goes, I will support this child. I will not be prejudiced about the thing my child wants to do. So she managed to get him into private lessons in Ufa, a retired female ballerina, Anna Udeltsova, I think she was called, who we hint at in the film, who gave him his very, very first ballet lessons.
We see that in...
We see that, yes, we see that. It always really moved me that what was that first occasion like? As a little child, he would have done traditional dances, but going to his first, I think she probably would have given them for free or something very... They had no money. But she probably just saw the boy had a passion. And I think he was then passed on to a number of women teachers who coached him. He did then appear in supporting dancing parts in the local opera house in Ufa, and then got to Moscow and auditioned, I think, for the Bolshoi and for the Kirov, and got a place at the Kirov, which is the Leningrad dance school, which would formerly have been the Imperial Ballet School in pre-revolutionary Russia.
So you say you're reading a book, I imagine this is Julie Kavanagh's biography.
Yes, that was the leading sort of source.
Where else did you go to get close to the kind of person Nureyev was at this sort of crucial formation of his character? Who did you speak to? Who were the sources that you have?
We went to St. Petersburg and we met one of the teachers teaching at the Vaganova school, which is the school he went to, was originally the Leningrad Choreographic Institute, and then it became the Vaganova after one of the great ballet teachers. That school is thriving. It's one of the most important ballet schools in the world. We went there, and Nikolai Tsizgaridze, who is an ex-dancer now running the school, incredibly generous to David and myself, allowing us in to classes and to watch classes.
This is David Hare.
David Hare, the writer, yes. And we did meet, and I'm now We're introduced to one of the senior women teachers there, was on the tour in Paris, and Nikolai got her into the room, and through translators she talked to us about being in Paris, being on the bus, and experiencing that time with him. Then, with Julie Kavanagh's help and Gabby, my producer's help, Gabby effected introductions to the real Clara Son, who is the young Chilean girl of French upbringing who arguably managed the defection, and the real Clara Son, who is alive and was incredibly helpful, and David and I and Gabby talked to her, and we effectively interviewed her at length about those days in Paris and Nureyev, and also Pierre Lacotte, who is still alive, a ballet dancer now, well-known choreographer, also talked to us very forensically about, and he's in the film too, his character is portrayed by Raphael Personnaz. Pierre Lacotte, he was very untutored in the norms of social intercourse, i.e. quite brusque, quite rude, had a naivety and didn't understand. I mean, particularly the French have sort of very precise forms of good manners. Well, Rudolf had no sense of that. But what they liked about him was his curiosity and his hunger.
Very early on in this project, maybe when you were just reading the Julie Kavanagh book, you must have thought, how on earth am I going to find my Nureyev? Do I look for a dancer who can act? Do I look for an actor who can dance? How did you square that circle?
Well, it's sort of, initially it just seems impossible. Here's a great story that I believe has huge cinematic potential, but how the beep, beep, beep do we find someone to do it? Because he's an extraordinary one-off. Rudolf Nureyev is sort of impossible to replicate, you would think, except as we thought about it, well, David and I identified, well, this is not Nureyev, the iconic superstar. So we're not got the pressure to sort of show that thing which is so well covered in documentaries and so many people have talked about. This is the unformed Nureyev, the Nureyev that is forming himself. When David first delivered this first draft of the screenplay, it's an incredible acting part. Yes, there were sequences of ballet performance and ballet rehearsal, but I just thought, as an actor, looking at it, wow, what a great role this is. And of course, I had to sort of wrestle with the approach to casting it. But I just thought, but we need these scenes where he's in practice and he's dancing, and I just need that truth that it's a dancer's body here. And if I give myself the problem of casting a very good actor who's not a dancer or who can only approximate dance moves and dance variations, I've got to have a body double, and that's immediately you do that, your shooting time doubles. And we weren't going to have a lot of shooting time because our budget was going to be very, very tight. So I just thought, if I can find a dancer who can act, then if I can do that, then this is the way to go. And so I said to Gabby, who's producing, let's press the button on the huge casting search. So out of St. Petersburg, we sent a wonderful casting director, Alla Patel, and also a young lady from Moscow too, to go to all the major Russian academies and ballet companies just to look. And they put the word out online, so that immediately all the dance world knew. And initially, Alla saw a lot of people self-taped. And Oleg Ivienko, who plays Nureyev, was on the radar quite early on. He did send in an acting tape, which was okay. I couldn't tell. And I realised in the process that I can't really tell about performance unless I'm in the room with someone and directing them, challenging them, or offering them up some kind of idea about how to play a scene. And then finally, when we had got a short list of about 4 dancers, he being one of them, we screen tested in St. Petersburg. And I got home from St. Petersburg, ran through all the screen tests on my computer, and he so quickly leapt out as being really, this young man can do it, is what I thought.
We're going to run out of time. I just want to mention one thing which is not crucial to understanding the making of the film, but really, really struck me when I was sitting there enjoying it enormously, and that is the team that you assembled to produce the sound of this film. Not just the soundtrack, which is stunning, from Ilan Ashkari, but it's what we hear. We hear it's the handbag snap, it's ballet shoes on floorboards, it's a jacket going onto a chair and coming off a chair, and it feels as though we're in the room. I don't know who you got to do that, but it's stunning.
Well, the soundscape is very important to me, and we had a great sound team. I love the final mix is when you put all those elements together, and often you're stripping away stuff But I've always, ever since the first film I've made, and actually I love the power. It's, in a way, it's its own kind of music. So it was really important for me that there's a scene on a train at the beginning. I wanted the noise and the scrape of metal. I wanted that to have a strong force in the way we could feel that this train is moving, the machinery of a train. Yes, you're right, the landing of the dancers, because instantly when dancers leap up, they can leap up and express this great lightness, but you can't deny the effect of gravity. So, even if you go to the ballet, I mean, obviously they want to land lightly, but there's always that interesting thing as their body hits the floor. You hear the weight of the body. But everything in that is, we spent a lot of time, and I get very obsessive about how you map the sound and the effect it can have. Also, that we placed off sounds in corridors to give the sense of, for instance, when young Rudy arrives in a communal apartment block in Russia to meet the young friends I was talking about, we hear voices off to give a sense of there's a life going on in the stairwells or off. So all that stuff is really important.
Well, it all goes together to make an extraordinary film, and Ray Fiennes, we appreciate you speaking to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed.